And today I'm hanging out with the customer experience expert, Shep Hyken. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
No problem. So Shep's worked in improving the customer experience since 1983. So I'm very grateful he's taken some time out to talk to me and talk to you about customer experience. So Shep, can you just take a minute or two to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Who am I? I
Who
get to
are you?
talk about myself. All right.
A little
Well,
bit.
my name's Shep Hyken. I am a customer service and experience expert. I work with companies who want to build loyal relationships with their customers and employees. Written a number of books. The most recent one, Amaze Every Customer Every Time. And it's all about how you develop and deliver an amazing customer experience.
Great. So this week on the network, we've been talking about sort of emotional connections between brands and customers, how brands are sort of trying to connect with people. And a lot of the folks I spoke to while researching this conference last year said that firms are now really trying to connect on a true emotional level with their customers. I don't think this is totally new, but it does seem like it's more important than it has been in the past. I mean, would you agree with that?
Well, I think what's happened is really it's always been people want to connect uh, on an emotional level, if you will. I mean, wouldn't you rather do business with somebody you like versus not like, right? That's
Yeah.
first of all. There's a somebody once said people want to do business with friends, and I don't think that's really realistic because hey, I'm not friends with Amazon.com, but I love doing business with them. I'm not friends
Hmm.
with Zappos. I'm not friends with anybody at Nordstrom here in the U.S., but I love doing business with them. But what I think the better phrase is, and it's an old expression, but people like to do business with, not friends so much as people they know, like, and trust. And that's an old saying, but I think the trust part is probably the biggest part because what I think any company can do to be successful is create confidence with their customers.
Hmm.
That's where trust is about.
Okay. I mean, what is another thing that came up through my research is sort of how do you prove this? I mean, how do you measure this connection? How do you measure how much someone trusts a brand? I mean, can you
Well,
measure and say, oh, your customers trust you 80% as much as they trust Apple,
Well, I think
which
that
is okay.
that trust is a piece of a formula to create loyalty. And yeah, I think that if you can look at loyalty. If somebody is loyal to you, they probably trust doing business with you. If they're a great customer, and if they'll evangelize you, meaning if they'll share your name, phone number, your experience, whatever, with their friends and colleagues, which leads to really a real simple measurement, and it's almost as cliche and as old as much as an old saying is, no like and trust is. How about the Net Promoter Score? I mean, how easy is that? That's that one single question that I think defines everything. If that customer is willing to recommend the company to one of their colleagues, an associate, a friend, whomever, a family member, I think that's confidence. That's loyalty. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood that you'd recommend a friend or a colleague? And I think that's the answer. If somebody gives you a 10, you've got trust.
Hmm. So as far as building loyal customers, I mean, loyalty points, the loyalty cards, do you think they're maybe not enough anymore?
Well, now you're getting into an interesting area because as you talk about like a loyalty card, if and let's just take a simplistic approach of what most companies think loyalty programs are about. Because to me, most loyalty programs are simply marketing and sales programs. If I go to a restaurant and I go there and I get my card punched 10 times and I get a free meal, the reason I'm carrying that card around, I mean, maybe I like the restaurant, that's fine, because I want that free meal. The reason and this is terrible because I do like my airline that I fly on most of the time, but the reason I fly on that airline is because of the perks they give me. If they took away those perks, would I still be loyal to that airline? If if everything else was the same, if everybody offered me the exact same perk that my airline offered me, I probably wouldn't be as loyal to them. I'd probably go with what's more convenient or what might be lower priced. So to
So it,
me, it's not loyalty. It's a marketing program. It works,
hmm.
by the way. It's not that it doesn't work. It works very, very well.
So when it comes to sort of building loyalty around the sort of interaction between you and that airline, or or anyone in any company. I mean, is it the face-to-face interaction? Is it those perks that get to you, or is it more virtual?
So let's say this. Let's talk about some of my favorite restaurants because they don't have loyalty programs. They're just really darn good at what they do. They have a great product, which is their food. They deliver great service. I would say almost to the point of flawless execution. And if there is a problem, they know how to fix it in such a way that makes me, restores my confidence with them. But at the end, it's the experience that I have. I know, like, and trust them once again. So you don't have to entice me with a free meal. You just have to make me feel good about doing business with you. And when I take a client to dinner at that restaurant, just do what you always do. Now, if you want to give me a perk as a result of that, that is a bonus. And that might make me come a little more often, but if you took it away, I'm still going to come. I'm still going to evangelize you. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I think the biggest thing when you talk about loyalty programs, is it really a loyalty program or a marketing program?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get at the sort of the you go to the restaurant, they're nice to you, the face-to-face interaction that works.
Yes.
Everything they do works. But
Okay. All right.
company like Amazon, you
Right.
don't have any. It's a virtual relationship.
Right. So here's the point, and I get it. People do business with people, and it's real easy when you have that emotional connection or that engagement with a person. Amazon is a website that was designed by people to be used by people. So I think there's still some of that opportunity to connect on maybe it's virtual, but it's still people designed it for people. When I walk into a retail store and someone says, "Hi, Shep, great to see you again. Hey, by the way, those shoes that you were looking at or that suit that you were looking at? We got one in your size. Would you like to see it now?" And I think that's pretty cool. When I go on Amazon.com, a little screen pops up that says, "Hello, Shep." And guess what? Listed are the last items that I looked at, and here's some other things that they suggest. I mean, that's not quite the same as that interaction I have with a person, but it's getting really, really close, isn't it? They know what I like. They know what I bought in the past. They remember it, by the way, far better than any other salesperson is going to remember it. And then they deliver. So I guess what I would say is if the product or service that you sell does what it's supposed to do, and the experience that the customer has, and that means if it's a people-to-people experience or if it's a virtual experience, if the experience is positive, that's a winning combination because you have to have both in order to even have a shot at customer loyalty. Because best product in the world and a lousy experience, you know what, I might try them again and hope it's better, but if they aren't treating me right or I don't feel good about doing business with them, I'm going to go find another place that has a similar product, and I might even be willing to drop down just a notch in quality just to feel good about the place I do business with. On the flip side, you can have the best service in the world, but if the product doesn't do what it's supposed to do, you've got another problem, but it ends up being the same result. I don't care how nice they are. At the end of the day, when I buy what it is I buy from them, it always breaks down or it doesn't work or whatever, I'm going to go somewhere else. It's really the combination of the two. And once again, an old cliche, the sum is greater than the parts. 1 + 1 is greater than 2.
So, I mean, that brings me on to the next thing I want to talk about, just in how you turn customers into advocates. Obviously, you're an advocate for the airline you use, which you didn't name, which is fine, and Amazon,
I won't say
and
the
those
name of the
restaurants.
airline. Yeah, their initials are, let's just say it's AA, for Anonymous Airlines.
Anonymous
or American
Airline.
Airlines. It doesn't matter. But I love my American Airlines. I think that most of the time they treat me pretty good. I get frustrated with some of the employees some of the time, and I realize as I step back, I said, this person's probably having a bad day. It might have been some other passenger that put them in this mood, or it's a terrible, a high traffic day, bad weather, flight delays. Some of these people are amazing, though, and I know that as a frequent flyer, they do take care of me. I show them loyalty by giving them business, and most of the time they're able to reciprocate because when I have a problem, they step up.
So is that one of the sort of benefits of building that sort of emotional, loyal connection, is that you become an advocate? You sort of start pitching for that company for people. Do you think that's a major a major benefit? Do you think there's other ways people?
100%. 100%. You want people, I mean, that's the best marketing you could possibly have. And with social media today, and people love this to share whatever it is they're buying and the experiences they're having, both the good and the bad. I think it's a great opportunity when you can emotionally engage with your customer to take it to another level, because they will share it with others. Word of mouth marketing is about as strong as it gets.
Mm. So, I mean, is there any sort of practical steps that you've sort of come across for sort of leveraging those advocates and using them to acquire new customers?
Well, I know what I personally do, and I love, once again, I go back to the Net Promoter Score. I always ask my clients, and this is really funny, in my speeches, because that's part of what we do, is I get up in front of audiences and I talk about customer service and experience. And every once in a while, a client will ask me to talk about the concept of measurement. And again, I go back to one of the best, the ultimate question. Fred Reichheld wrote about it in his book, is this Net Promoter Score question. And I look out in the audience and I ask them, how many are familiar with it? Many people, if not all people, are in the audience. It's just very common. And I say, why don't you ask your clients, what's the likelihood that you would recommend me or your customers to a friend or an associate? And I look over at my client who's sitting in the audience and say, by the way, in a week, we're supposed to have a follow-up call, and I'm going to ask you this exact question. And based on your answer, if you give me the answer that I hope to get, which is a 9 or a 10, I'm going to ask you, who are those people? So if you've got an opportunity when you're talking, it depends on the type of business you have. But if I'm working with, direct one-on-one with somebody, and I go, hey, are you happy with what we do here? Yes, you don't have to say on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood you would recommend us, but no, would you be willing to recommend me to a friend or an associate? And if they say, sure, I go, okay, let's talk about who those people are, and let's sit down and figure it out, because that's the way I grow my business. Now, that doesn't work for every type of business, but you need to think about it. How can you leverage the communication you have, the interaction that you have? What can you do? If you hand somebody a card on the way out of a retail store that says, please go online, let us know how we're doing, and by the way, if you go on and fill out the survey, we'll give you 10% off your next purchase. What you've just done is great. You've given them an incentive to go on and share their opinion. And you want the truthful opinion, and you actually want them to share that opinion. So with technology, you have the ability to share it and tweet it out and everything else. I mean, all you got to do is click the little buttons that are up there, and whatever comments that you're making for that company are now shared on your social network.
Great. Well, I know you've got to get away soon, so just sort of a final question around sort of, what's that sort of magic dust that you put on a brand? It makes customers not just use your brand but love it. Is there anything? What is that
Wow.
secret sauce?
Okay, so the magic dust, and I love the term magic. So I love talking about a concept called a moment of magic. Are you aware that that's one of my big things that I love to talk about?
It is. I've seen some videos, Shep. I've seen some videos.
Okay, so the moment of magic is a positive, above average experience. And so I want to hit this at a couple of levels. Number one, in the most simplistic form, based on what you and I have talked about today, managing that interaction that you have with the customer, even if it's an online interaction, a virtual interaction, the goal is to make it above average, just even a little bit above average, because the best companies in the world aren't like over the top, blow me away all the time. But what makes them appear to be so is that they're consistently and predictably above average. The customer can predict it. They know the experience they're going to get. So these above average interactions, which the interactions I refer to as moments of truth, which was a concept that was developed by Jan Carlson years ago, which is any time a customer comes into contact with any aspect of your business, they form an impression. And if it's a good impression, I call it a moment of magic. And if just simply a little bit above average, like I say, if it's consistent all the time, now you're operating at a level of amazement. So here is the idea, that it's everybody's job, whether you're dealing directly with an outside customer or you're supporting somebody inside your internal customer, it's everybody's job to manage the moments of truth and create moments of magic. Because if you create a true culture of customer service, it's not just on the front end, or on the front line, It's everybody in the organization. What's happening on the inside is going to be felt on the outside by the customer. And at the end of the day, customer service is not a department. It's a philosophy to be embraced by every single employee of the company. So there you go. My magic dust.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I mean, that's what we've got time for. So thank you very much for taking your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks for everyone for watching and tuning in. Please share your thoughts and any questions with myself or Shep on the 2020 network. And I hope to see you all on the 1st and 2nd of July at the 2020 Customer Experience Summit. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.